It is 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, and welcome to week six. Week six. Week six. Which means that in this vernacular, that means that we're past the halfway point. Got 5 more weeks to go after this, and this quarter will be over. I do encourage each of you to make sure that you have gotten your assignments in, that you're continue to do a good job. Most of you are doing pretty well. And make sure that you pay very close attention to the requirements that are laid out, not just in the module, but also in the rubric that is given to you each week, and then that I sent you at the beginning of the quarter. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with this session, sharing my screen. Okay, let's go all the way down to the module. Let's look at the written assignment. The written assignment is interviewing in justice studies. As you have already discerned, that this course is preparing you now for exit and for heading towards your career. And then if you're going to go on to bachelor's, it will also help you to sharpen your skills that you'll need to be able to find a job, maybe to get into an internship or something that will help you to continue to move forward in your desire or dream to land that position that you want to work in for the rest of your life. It is really an exciting thing. I've lived it. I've seen many students live it, and it's just more exciting than anything you can ever imagine. So anyway, the written assignment for this week identifies the position in a field of interest. You get 15 points. Explains 8 possible appropriate interview questions and responses in the field. Make sure you have them all to get all the points, and then make sure you have citations in the body and references at the end to get the total of 30 points. Okay. So we go down, and you'll see that after today, we will have 2 more lectures, one week 8 and one week 10. And so you want to make sure that you attend these lectures or give me the keyword that's given at the end. It might be given in the middle. The point of the matter is you have to give that keyword by Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. And that Sunday is May the 13th, which happens to be Mother's Day, but by the end of the day, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. So you want to make sure that you do that. These lectures aren't really that long, so you really have a chance. Okay, so now let's look at our announcement for the week. Interviewing within Justice Studies field. You read Module 6 of this course, and then your discussion posts, which were due last night, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. That is the initial post, answering interview questions, and then by Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, you submit at least one reply post. And again, I encourage you, if possible, to submit more than one reply post to maximize your points. Make sure your posts are detailed, not just one-liners, but detailed, and elaborate on the post so that you'll maximize your points and get them in on time. Finally, complete the written assignment, interviewing in Justice Studies, that I just went over with you a minute ago, and do this Sunday. And then a reminder of my motto: adversity is a springboard to success. Okay, so let's take a look at the course calendar. Let's go down and see what the course calendar has. Now, when you look at the course calendar, you'll see the exact due dates as well. Okay, let me take some of this out. It's kind of busy. So let's take out what doesn't necessarily have to be seen by you. And let's leave only, see if I can get that. There we go. At this point now, you should see just the assignments for this course. All right. And it's still populating here. And here it goes. Okay, this is the week that we're in. It gives the topic. It gives when your initial posts were due. I don't know why this 250 is still in there. Thought I had took it out. I did. Let me refresh it. Let me refresh it a minute here. I should take it out. There we go. All right, so anyway, interviewing, your initial post was due last night, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time, your live lecture, your reply post, and then your written assignment. Now notice that for week 7, you have the same process here, and then you have a written assignment, and then the next lecture we'll have, it'll be week 8, which will be the week of the 21st. So that'll be the next lecture that we have here. Okay, so you want to make sure that you get those in. Again, there is no question about when the time or due date is, because I put due date in with the assignment itself, so that when you do the assignment, you will see what the due date is. Okay, let's look at Module 6. Okay, so it's a 1 to 2 page paper. Make sure that you run your papers through Grammarly so that you don't get hit with Grammarly. 8 potential interview questions, and your rather elaborate, says rather elaborate responses to each, not just a short answer. Be sure to also include why you believe each answer is appropriate. Your interview questions should be geared toward the dream job that you are assessing. Okay, make sure that you write it not in question 1, question 2, question 3, and it's double spaced as well. Make sure that you write it in narrative form with your answers, and again, citations in the body and references in the end. And then again, going back, you can see there's 30 possible points, and then when your assignment is due as well. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have a cover page as well. You satisfy the APA requirements. Very, 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 very important. Okay, let's go back. And then the only other assignment there involves attending the live lecture and discussion posts. Okay, so share your interview questions that you encounter in your own career pursuits, or one that you think might be asked in your profession. I haven't elected to assign any standard interview questions, so don't worry about it. Just provide the ones that you do. Then when you do your reply post, choose another student's question and provide an answer that you believe is in line with that job. So try to make sure that you look at something a little different from what you have provided. The idea is for you guys to exchange information to give you some ideas about preparing for your dream job. Okay, and those are your assignments, not very many. So now let's go back to the module itself and look at what the lesson content says. Okay. Again, these are your assignments that I've already covered now. So that's what you have here. So now let's talk about what happens when you interview for a job. First of all, one of the things that is so important is for you to be able to be prepared to answer questions in the field that you're going into. For example, if you're going into law enforcement, you're going to probably be asked a series of questions that relate to ethics and ethical practices. I've kind of hinted that to you in your discussion post, because as you should know or know already, that ethics is very, very, very important when it comes to dealing with employment in law enforcement, especially because we are under severe attack in the law enforcement field because of some pretty bad ethical principles that have been demonstrated. Police now are being watched very carefully by the community. Everywhere you go, there's a camera. If it's not the body cam or the dash cam, the cameras are in the air. There are people who have, everybody has a cell phone, and these cell phones like these smartphones, they all have cameras on them, and they record things. So one of the things that you might be asked is a hypothetical situation as to how you would handle a situation if you encountered it. They also will probably ask you questions concerning the responsible requirements of their organization. For example, if you know that you're being interviewed by the FBI, then you want to go in and see what the FBI is about. You want to search their website. You want to look at materials that tell you about the FBI. And you want to learn as much as you possibly can. And a good source is the official websites now. Make sure that you're very careful that you're not using websites that are not the official ones, because if you get some websites, they'll be more opinionated and not factual. And so one of the key things in interviewing is you must be sure in terms of how you interview. I don't even have to talk about how you have to dress. You know, you dress to impress. You dress in a professional fashion. You want the person that is interviewing you to be impressed with you. You want to be able to, and this is what I have done, and this is what I did when I interviewed for jobs, is that I sat down and I asked myself on paper every possible question that I thought that could be asked by the interviewer. And then I wrote those answers that I would intend to give. Now, of course, when you go in the interview, you're not going to have that. But this is a script or something to get your mind focused in the direction of the field. It is very, very poor interview when you go in there and you don't have any knowledge about the organization. You're just looking for a job, because what we're talking about here now is career. There's a difference in career and jobs. So working in McDonald's, for example, oftentimes is not a career. It is a job, and you're on your way to something. For example, when I was a kid, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, and I got a job in a big law firm. Well, when I got the job in a law firm, I started out in the mailroom as the messenger, or they call it the gopher. But it gave me an opportunity to interact with the lawyers and to see how things operated with them. Even in that scenario, I would deliver their mail, And I would sometimes engage in conversations with them when I saw that they weren't engaged in situations, and then I'd introduce myself and let them know who I was and what my goal in life was, and that was to become a lawyer. And so I would oftentimes um, pay attention to the things that they were doing. And then I became a file clerk, and I moved into the file department, and I learned about the files of the clients. I learned how a lot of the organizations operated. I learned how some of the legal issues that they encountered were. But then I became a law librarian. Boy, when I became a law librarian, I was in the heart of where the legal opinions, decisions, legal approaches, legal theories were being developed by the lawyers. And I sat there and I would oftentimes listen to them talk in the library. But then, since I was the custodian of the books, I now had a chance to get into the books. And I taught myself how to do things such as legal research, how to write a brief, memo, and things of that nature. And they saw that. And so the point of the matter is that I let them know. And ultimately, I ended up becoming what they call now a paralegal, a law clerk, because they saw that I had gone above and beyond. Well, that's the same kind of thing you want to do in terms of preparing for your dream job. And so I was getting closer and closer and closer to the role that I would ultimately become in that firm. And then when I left that firm was a lawyer practicing law. But in the process of being interviewed for the mailroom, it was different. But when it came time to for me to interview with some law firms, there were questions that I had already anticipated based on working in the law firm. It is always a good thing, guys, if you have a chance to start at the ground floor in a position. And oftentimes you can use your internship or your externships for opportunities, your ride-alongs if you're in law enforcement, the courses that you have with us where you prepare your course projects and you have a chance to talk to individuals and find out how things actually work in the field. And since many of us who are lecturers and professors at the school, such as myself, we have not just um, teaching skills, but we have professional skills and we have expertise in the areas. For example, I have expertise in the law, in criminal, in other areas of law. I have expertise in law enforcement because I was a police officer. How prosecutors operate because I worked in that area. Paralegal because I was that for a while as well. So the point of the matter is that I can begin to help you to be able to focus the direction that you want to go in. And so, as I said, and I encourage you to sit down and think about, number one, what it is you want to do. And then it is very, very important that you prepare yourself. As it says here, there's a unique process for interviewing in the justice studies field, whether it's corrections you're going to, whether it's parole, whether it's probation, whether it's jails, or if it's law enforcement, or ultimately you want to go on to become a lawyer. And you have exposure in this school to all of these types of individuals, and we can help you. I actually have worked with and continue to work with several students who are preparing for law school, helping them to be pointed in the right direction to help them to be able to achieve their dream, number one, of getting into law school, number two, and getting out of law school, not by quitting, but by graduating. And then the next step is talking to them about preparing for the bar exam. And, then to the point of helping them to understand the importance of specialization in this day and time that we're in now. So it is very important that you understand the criminal justice interview questions that you want to deal with in terms of working in a particular field. And so I encourage you to take these exercises that we give you to guide you and direct you. Now, if you'll notice, the module this week particularly doesn't give you much information because you're at the stage now where you should have the information in you. And if you need assistance with it, feel free to reach out to me. If, for example, a student wants to contact me and say, Professor, could you interview me for a specific job as if I was going to apply for this job? One of the first things I would be asking you is, do you have a resume? Have you prepared a resume? And that's one of the weeks that we have here in this particular course. I believe it is week number, trying to remember which one it is. It might be coming up week 7. I know it's one of these weeks. I think it's number 9. I think it's week 9. But anyway, you can jump ahead. Prepare yourself. But interviewing within criminal justice has to do with knowing something about criminal justice, researching the field. Again, remember now, make sure you don't scattergun. Don't say I want to go into criminal justice. Okay, because we're going to ask you, or you're going to be wondering, what kind of a job? Are you going to go in law enforcement? Some people go in the technical side, forensics, or dealing with those kinds of things. You know, people look at the CSI movies, TV shows, and things of that nature, but you have to understand what types of things that you need to engage in. I'm not an expert in that area, but I do know people that we can point you out to. We can point you to. When you do your written assignments, you usually try to complete your written assignment, particularly your course project in that direction. So that's all I have for today. And the thing that I want you to understand and focus on is very easy. And so therefore, I want to give you the word interview. Interview. That's it. Good night.